Okay, so this is a forum post I put out last night. Been working a lot with Liam on thinking about what is the right thing to do to increase the payouts on signals. Um, so there's always silly things we can do, like just pay more. Like, you have to beat negative 0.02 core, and then you make money or something. But then that leads to P1 minus P attacks and people submitting bad models. So we want to increase the payouts without losing the good models we already have on signals, and actually encourage even better models. One of the things Liam presented on the past was this idea of paying people on their extreme predictions. And this seemed like quite a good idea. But when we ran it on a lot of data, it turns out that it is a little bit like just adding leverage to someone. If you pay someone on their extreme predictions, it's a bit like giving them core times 4 or core times 5. The problem is the volatility in the correlations you get with the targets would be 4 times higher. So it didn't seem actually like the right way to go. And then, I was looking at the forums, and it's at the bottom of this post. There's some really nice related content on the forum, where people had ideas of just like increasing the length of the target. And there's some good reasons to believe that on shorter and shorter time horizons, the market's like noise. But on a longer time horizon, certain signals of the type we can create with the data we're finding online, like it was just presented, those types of things like dividend yield do not have any kind of R squared with returns on an extremely short time horizon. They do on a much longer time horizon, and they work, even on 5-year time horizons and things like that. But it seemed like signals, which was currently on this 6 minus the first 2 days target, is too short, potentially. And so we computed this for all users, and we computed it against the new target, the correlation with the new target, which is for a much longer period, 22 days, similar to Numerai. And we found that people tended to have much higher mean, which was expected, but also without much higher variance. And therefore, these seemed like much better targets. So the conclusion was you got by 481%. The average user would have 481% more core score, but the variance would increase by only 20%, resulting in this much higher average shot per NMR staked if we were to start paying on this new target. So it seems quite good to me. We're going to start showing it on the website very soon as a new column called Core 20. And Core 20 is exactly this, your correlation against this new target. So you'll see here that the people who have a very high core already, it doesn't hurt them very much. In fact, most of them do better. And then there are other people that are helped a lot more. So it seems like quite good to us as a potential thing to start moving over to, or having the option of staking on. We're not quite sure yet, but it does seem to help. And of course, the important thing to note is no one's been trying to do well on this target. So the fact that people are doing better on this target, even without trying to do better on this target, means if they were to try on this target, they could do even better than what we're saying. The kind of thing that maybe could get us to almost, similar or higher payouts than Numerai is now. And we'll have the option of, potentially adding more MMC leverage or even more core leverage to signals. Because one of the other things about signals is, and as you already know, we already pay 2 times core on signals. because the vol is much lower than Numerai. Like on Numerai, you'll see sometimes in 1 week, someone has like a 0.15 correlation. Very hard for that to happen on Signals because it's all feature neutralized, which basically takes out a lot of the volatility possible in the market. So I think we can argue for having higher MMC or higher core payouts because the vol is much lower. So that's the idea for now. And I'm curious whether I guess soon, once Liam releases it, you'll be able to see it. I think there are obviously some users that are hurt a little bit. I think this one user, Wind AI, for example, has a little bit better core on the 1 week target than the 20-day. And so, maybe he doesn't, but maybe he's not staking. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care. But yeah, that's the kind of, it's not perfect. It's not going to help everyone perfectly because some people might have somehow really, or just been lucky to have good correlation lately on the one, but not the other. But yeah, I think it's a good step forward. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So is this, it sounds like it's still just in brainstorming mode, but is this like an either or thing, or would you eventually want to move fully over to Core 20?
I think it is nice, kind of for simplicity to have one or the other. But on the other hand, it's not clear to me. Like I think Numerai makes a lot of sense to have just one, right? Because we chose the features, we know what length of time those features work well for. But on Signals, maybe there is someone in the future who gets some kind of high frequency data set, and it really does only work in a shorter time horizon. Do we want to make it not possible for him to use that signal? I don't know. So I'm not too sure, but I do kind of like the idea of there being a very strong default. And I do think this is likely to be the new default.
Could we have both, maybe?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Maybe the one is like in an advanced setting.
So when I saw your forum post, my first instinct was to add an entry to my to-do list to train a model for the 20-day target. I'm going to do it tonight.
The what target? The 20-day target. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
yes, but you could you mean just your own data?
Yeah, my best model on Signals is trained on returns and ignoring your targets, and so I'm just trying to extend that idea. But
yeah, I think it'll probably. We've actually found some strange things internally where the best 20-day, the best 1 week, or what I call 1 week, the 4-day target.
4-day targets.
We could build came from a model that was trained on the 20-day.
Wow.
So there's sometimes weird things that can happen like that, where there's kind of more to learn. There's less noise to deal with. You're training on a longer horizon, and that ends up being a longer horizon trained model was better on the shorter horizon target. So it's people think it seems like obvious. It's like, well, if you can predict 1 month, then of course you can predict 1 day. You'll just get 1/30th of the return, or whatever. But it doesn't really work that way. It's a very complicated issue.
Does this also mean that submissions will take like 4 or 5 times as long to resolve?
Yeah, that's the annoying part, and why we can't really release it right away, because it almost means like turning Signals to operate same as Numerai, including all the concepts of like resolving rounds and overlapping rounds, staking for a whole month. But yeah, like it's not that hard since we've done it for Numerai, but we do want to make sure it's right